everyone.
Morning. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Care Lab. You guys ready?
I'm pumped.
Ready.
Oh my gosh. Let's just be honest, it's been a little rough to get to this moment this morning. All the things, the weather.
Inside and out.
Yeah, totally. It's been, for all three of us, it's been it's just one of those mornings, and it's Friday. Why is it like this today?
I think it's just, we have to earn our weekend so that we know it's earned. I was trying to think of something else to say there and I couldn't. So
no,
there you
it's
go.
All good. I'm sure like people can connect. Like if you have days like this, #CareLabIt.
Oh my gosh, right?
Tell us how your day's going.
Yeah. How does your day not start the way that you anticipated? But you know what? We're going to turn around. It's going to be okie dokie. Can I tell you guys about a little experiment that I'm doing?
Yeah.
This is day 2.
I love experiments.
I am not drinking caffeine.
Girl, I don't know.
For how long?
Tell us more.
Yeah, I know. It's something that I never, ever thought that I would even consider doing, because if you know me, I will openly tell you caffeine is my favorite drug. I don't do a lot of drugs, just FYI. Like, I like a glass of wine. I love my cup of coffee. And that's about it for me. But I'm a really bad sleeper. Like, I can go to sleep, but I wake up at about 3 a.m. every day having a panic attack.
Oh.
Yeah, like not an exaggeration. Like I go from like dead sleep to like heart pounding, like sweating, worried that like the lion is chasing me, or I don't know that I don't know. And it's not rational, which I realize as it's happening. So usually like I wake up and I'm having my daily panic attack, my 3 a.m. panic attack. And I'm like, and I just go, this isn't real. Everything's okay. You just like, This is something in your brain chemistry that is setting you off, but it's not like you haven't done anything wrong. No one is chasing you. It's okay. Go back to sleep. But it's pretty hard to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Even as a rational person, when your body has just woken you up and said that like something is on fire and you have to deal with it right now. Mm-hmm. And so I began thinking, I was like, well, I'm just blaming this entirely on like my own personal chemistry, but maybe it's not just my own personal chemistry. Maybe it's the caffeine that's not helping, at least. So this is day 2. I slept like a baby last night.
You did, and I bet you woke up sad too, huh? He's like, maybe it is the caffeine. Well, because I had a similar experiment when I was in my 20s. Like I felt sick all the time, and I was like, I wonder if it has to do with milk. And one day I didn't have any milk products, and I felt great, and I cried because I was like, it's the milk, and I love ice cream and cheese and all the things. So I understand.
Yes. Now, of course, they have like really great. They have really great non-dairy substitutes nowadays, but like back in.
Way better than when I first happened.
But yes, no, you are actually absolutely right. I was like doing my morning workout and I was like, wow, that was really great that I slept. And then I started thinking about my cup of coffee, how much I wanted that. And I was like, it's okay. So I'm trying to stay strong because there is almost nothing more valuable than sleep.
Yeah. More. Yes, I don't want all the money. I want all the sleep.
Yes. Absolutely. Like there's nothing more important than sleep. So I think that it's probably worth it. So I'm having
you can drink decaf just to
I think that's
have something.
It's more about like the ritual, honestly, of like having like just a nice cup of coffee. I'm also, full disclosure, super bougie about coffee.
Oh.
I mean, if it's your drug of choice, I can understand.
Like we have so there's a really great roaster in our neighborhood, and they deliver freshly roasted coffee. So we do that. Oh, it's so good.
Treat yourself. Yeah, that is.
It
That's
is
nice.
really nice. Um, I don't even know if they have decaf. I'll have to ask and see. That would also require my husband to switch to decaf, and I don't think that that's happening. But anyway, I have my herbal tea here, which is still a nice hot beverage that makes me feel good. But caffeine, who
Mm-hmm.
knew? I'll keep you updated to let you know if like it's helping. I'll say that the other thing that I know helps is if I do not have that glass of wine with dinner, I sleep better.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't like it like the teeniest tiniest amount of alcohol I notice will also really deeply affect my sleep, so I'm kind of like, oh well, maybe that's not a thing then anymore either. I know I am
Man,
so
adulting over
boring.
here.
Oh, I'm just the worst. I'm so boring.
I've had this same experience that, well, I don't think I could ever give up coffee, but if it's for health reasons, like if I do feel like if it's affecting my sleep, like I have to cut it off. Like if it's like past 2 o'clock, no more caffeine for me. Because I have the same problem. If I'm really, really stressed, then I will wake up at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Like going to sleep, yeah, I can drop, like not a problem. She's tired, like I'm ready for bed. But if I am really stressed, I will wake up like that. But yeah, I will on the weekends, like maybe I'll treat myself to like a second cup of coffee, but that's it. And then
Mm-hmm.
for alcohol, yeah, I've had the same experience too. I feel like more dehydrated, or I have to get up in the middle of the night, and because alcohol is a bladder irritant, so I have to wake up in the middle of the night,
That
go to
means
the
it makes you pee,
bathroom.
people. It makes you pee.
Exactly, makes you pee, and it does for me. So yeah, I can do alcohol at dinner, but
Mhm.
after that, it's like I can't, Netflix and chill with a glass of wine afterwards. It's not,
Yeah,
it'll wake me up.
we are old.
We are
That's what the definition is right
old
there.
ass bitches. Yep. I guess
Yeah,
I'll speak for
yeah.
myself. I'll speak for myself.
I mean, ugh, yeah. Well, hopefully, don't tune out now. We still have exciting things to say, maybe.
Yeah, and we're
Um,
fun.
we're fun. Yeah, we're fun. Brandy, you just got back from an awesome trip.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, y'all. I went to Thailand. It's my first time going to Asia, and it was amazing. And I also got to have a 24-hour layover in Shanghai, China, too. So
Those are
I've
hashtag
been doing all the
goals.
things,
Oh my
flying a lot of
gosh.
hours. It
What
was
was the
awesome.
What was
It
highlight
was
of your
awesome.
trip? I'm
That's a
so sorry.
horrible
There's
That's
so
what
many
I
good
was gonna
things,
ask.
right? There's
That's
so many good things. Pick one.
Pick one. My mom always asks, "What's your favorite thing?" And I'm always like, "I hate this question. I'm so bad at this question. I don't have favorites of hardly anything, because I like so many things." So my answer, which is a cop out, is my favorite thing is that we went to more than one place on our trip. And so, like, most time you like go to a city, you do the city, you leave, you come home. This time we went to Shanghai, we went to Phuket, which is like the beach of Thailand, and then we also went to Bangkok, which is like New
Oh
York
my
City times
gosh.
two. And so I loved being able to experience three different
That
places on
sounds
my
what
trip.
was
so different too.
so that was gonna be my
Mm-hmm.
question was like what after Maria asked the question that I was gonna ask and then you poo pooed it. Um, what was the thing that struck you as like the most different from your life at home in the US or just different from the US?
I'm very good at themes. Like I notice patterns a lot. And so that's like always what's running through my head. It's like, oh, that's different. Oh, that's the same. Um, I think the thing that I noticed the most different about all the places we went, including all the layovers that we had in other cities, um, America is the only place where signs are only in one
That's
language.
true.
Oh.
And everywhere else we went, the airport signs outside the airport, hotel signs, wherever else we were at, signs are in the native language and in English. even though the people that I encountered were from all over the world, English is like the language of money.
Wow.
And so, or it's like I'm not going to call it a universal language because it's not that, but it is the one that was always on the sign, plus the other language. And then as soon as we arrived in LA, I took a picture of this because it struck me so much. It says, "Welcome to the United States," and all the things as you're coming through customs, which means that people are coming from other countries, and the only language on the sign is English.
Wow.
Like, they could have put Spanish at least, but like the only language on the sign is English. And so I was like, that is just a very strong and arrogant
Yeah,
point.
what
true.
a stark contrast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like we don't, or it doesn't make an effort to be inclusive of others who are, especially at an international entrance. I feel like doesn't the Dallas air? I think Dallas and Chicago maybe are the only international places or entryways into the in and out of the U.S. I've been through, and I thought they had like at least another language. I feel like I've seen like a million like welcome like languages.
I feel like maybe they do at DFW, but you know what? I'll have to actually look and see next time. And it may only even be like in the international terminal. I'm not sure, but I'm going to pay more attention to that. And I'll let you know because I do feel like I've seen multiple languages at DFW and maybe even a little bit at Love, but I don't know. I can't confirm that. I cannot confirm or deny, but I will take a picture next time I'm there.
And I know, let the record show. Also, it's like maybe they have it on some signs, but it's not everywhere. And like everywhere else we went, it was always everywhere. There's always 2 languages on a sign. In the airport is to be noticed. That makes sense, right? But also outside the airport and other places, like in public places.
That's a good point too, because I find like honestly, like as an American, as a native English speaker, like I actually rely on that when I travel internationally.
For sure.
I feel confident going pretty much anywhere, any airport in the world at least, because I know that I can just follow the signs and I'll find what I need to find, because I guess I take for granted the fact that there's going to be signage in English there for me, but I, haven't necessarily taken a step back and thought about that we don't extend that same graciousness to other countries at the same time where like, I guess I kind of, it's not like if I landed in another country and they didn't have signage in English, I wouldn't be like, why isn't this here? I'd be like, well, I'm in another country and they don't speak English. So that is what it is. But at the same time, I kind of take for granted that there will be something there for me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a really interesting point. I'm going to pay closer attention to that. And I'm going to start, I say this like I travel internationally all the time. I don't. I don't have that kind of lifestyle, okay, people? But when I do, I'm going to start taking pictures of the signage and like, we should create some sort of collage or something. That's kind of an OT thing to do, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
It is totally. You want to know one more OT thing?
Yeah.
And then we can get off my trip. Of course, you know what I really paid attention to was the bathrooms everywhere. So in Southeast Asia, everywhere we went, all 3 of those places, every bathroom in a hotel, in a restaurant, maybe not in the restaurant, but definitely in the airport, in the public places, had a bidet.
Thank you, Southeast Asia.
Wow.
I mean, I was like, see, we need to, America needs to step it up. Add some languages to the sign and put a bidet in the toilet.
You know why? A lot of times countries will use bidets because the sewer system can't necessarily like handle all that toilet paper going down. It's not good for the sewer system. So it's actually a lot more environmentally friendly to have a bidet, and it's much better on a city's infrastructure to use bidets. So yeah. Anyway, if any cities around the U.S. are looking for some cost savings, money talks, people.
Oh, for sure.
We don't want to think about other people's bottoms, but money talks. unless you're us, I guess we think about other people's bottoms. Maria thinks a lot about it.
All the time, right?
That's where the money is. Yeah.
That's That's not in people's bottoms.
Oh, not in people's bottoms. Oh,
Not in people.
okay.
Not but there's money in, I mean, I listen, that's a question. Actually, I'm going to leave that to our listeners and they can figure that out on their own. To each their own. To each their own. Okay, so are you guys ready to talk about, you guys ready to hashtag Care Lab something?
Yes.
Hey there, Care Lab listener. Are you worried about having an ugly bathroom? It's a common concern, especially amongst those who are thinking about remodeling, either to age in place or to keep their bathroom accessible after an illness or injury. But here's the thing, you don't have to worry. Just visit toilettalk.me and you will find a wide selection of high-quality grab bars, bidet seats, and shower seats, all meant to keep your bathroom beautiful while still allowing you to stay as independent and safe as possible. To learn more, make sure that you visit toilettalk.me. That's toilettalk.me.
Okay.
Let's do
so this is a little bit different topic from what we normally talk about. But I was really thinking the other day that one of the hardest things about being a caregiver is that you're just like immersed in it all the time. You can't get away. And so, we throw this term around all the time, like self-care, taking care of yourself, and all the, like, make sure that you're filling your own cup. But like, what does that actually mean? And what are some, so rather than us going through and saying, hey, what are some ways that you recommend to do this? We could talk about things like setting boundaries, which would be a good thing to talk about. But I just thought, like, and maybe we should talk about that as part of this conversation. But like, what are the actual things that you guys do to do something that has, what we mean by self-care, I think, is do something that has nothing to do at all with caregiving. Like, that just allows your brain and your body to have 100% break for a little while, where you are not having to use your energy or your cognitive power or whatever it is to think about caring for someone else. So, like, what do you guys do to do that? Because there's got to be something. There's got to be something that lives outside of that caregiving zone.
You want to take it away, Brandy?
Yeah, I will. So, I'm not a full-time caregiver for my parents. They're caring for their own selves. But I am a full-time caregiver for 3 little kids. And so this is a big thing, but it has individual themes, because I know everybody can't do this all the time. But really, travel is one of those things. So, like, me and my husband prioritize taking time away from the kids, so that we have time with each other. And we do that when we travel. And so, like, there was lots of logistics to figure out. We did not take the kids with us to Thailand. And we have an awesome network of family that is willing to care for our kids. But also, I could have just as easily said, nobody wants to watch my 3 kids for 12 days, and just, like, poo-pooed the idea and never went. But because we prioritize taking that time, even as infrequently as it is, we did the things that we needed to do to make it happen. And was that a little bit more work? Yes. You could just keep doing the status quo, which is, wake up, take care of the kids, send them to school, all the things, come back, feed them, and just keep doing that 24/7. But without these breaks, you never feel like you have a break. And it just rejuvenates you. Like, I was so excited to come and see them and, like, play and do all the things and just, like, have energy for them. And it's not really any different if you're caring for a parent or a spouse, or anybody else in your life, because if you're doing it every day all the time, you're always going to have to do it every day all the time. And so you have to force yourself to find ways to have space to do it. So, like, I don't think the activity is as important as prioritizing the time and, like, finding a way to make it happen. So, like, doing the steps that it takes to make it happen. So we travel, a couple of times a year in some capacity. And, we try to do other things that are more frequent than that are not as big as travel, but still, like, being intentional about, like, this is a part of our life that we must do. We must take time apart. from the kids and apart from each other, and then come back together.
I think so. I'm sure that there are folks who are listening who like maybe they are full-time caretakers for their parents or their grandparents, and they're thinking, well, okay, you can find childcare for your kids, that's one thing, but what do I do about finding care for this adult? And there are actually ways to do that. So does anyone want to I have resources for this, but I don't want to take over here.
No, so, well, I can share what we did for my grandfather when he was living. So, because we had the same kind of, I would definitely say, Brandy, like I was never as good as you. Sorry, getting over a cold. I was never as good as you and your husband as far as like taking breaks, and I'm still working on that to make it better. I think the pandemic kind of threw me into, I can be, self-reliance is a good thing, but I kind of take it into overdrive all the time. And the pandemic threw a curve for me as far as like childcare and being able to, ask for other people to, or a wider, a larger network of people to help take care of children. So when my grandfather was living, it was really like, it was non-existent. Like when my grandparents, like when I was a caregiver for them, it was like, I was in OT school. I worked, it depended on the time of year, but anywhere between 2 to 4 jobs. And then I helped take care of my grandparents. And so it felt like I never had a day off because every single day of the week there was something to do. And then, I graduated school and I was like, oh, great. I can only have one job. How fun is that? To have just work one job and help with my grandparents. And then I was able to find more time in my schedule to do fun things and to have a life and pursue, interests where I could, totally take a break and just like be myself and, just not have to be helping anybody else or like pursuing a goal or, just time to be me. When my grandfather it was closer towards the end of his life, he was living at home and my parents had moved in with him. And so we used, because we all had to work, what was great in our community, we have an adult day center. So my grandfather was able to, my mom would go drop him off. He called it the club. So he went down to the club and they did activities. He got to go out on field trips to different places. So it was really nice to have that. I think it was like 6 to 8 hours of time so that all of us could continue to work and then bring him home, but he could also, do fun things on his own. With that being said, we had to do the same kind of thing that Brandy, that you were talking about, like with childcare. So finding, making sure that somebody was always with my grandfather. So if my parents wanted to go travel, for instance, then we would talk about like who would be there. So I would be there. And, or, if we were all wanting to go together at one time, asking if other family members could step in. We also hired temporary private care attendant services. That was expensive and that really does stink. But at the time he needed that 24-hour care. Like he needed somebody to be there in the home at night. So it's not, it wasn't safe for him to be alone by himself. And it was really nice to have, to be able to save up and do those kinds of things. But it does take a lot of work. You have to make sure that those caregivers who are stepping in know and they know how to appropriately help an older person with dementia. And, if he's getting agitated with you, here's some ways to help him calm down, or, he doesn't understand why he isn't seeing my parents as often, or who are these people coming in? So there are different challenges to those. But we made it work until it came to a point where he eventually did need that 24/7 care. And with the help of 2 people to like dress and stand up and, get down the hallway. So that was when he moved into long-term care. And then, oh my gosh, what like a, total 180 that is, when you're like, I no longer am, having the need to be there 24/7 for this person, but you're also still a caregiver for them on, even though they're in an institution. And now you're having to caregive in other ways, like keeping track of their items and visiting them and making sure that they get what they need in a facility. But yeah, what other resources, Emilia, were you going to talk about besides adult day centers and hiring out?
I'm glad you talked about adult daycare centers, because that wasn't one that I was going to mention, but I think they're so amazing. They are a really, really great care, both resource for folks who need to care for a loved one who's an adult, but they also need to work. They're a lot more affordable than hiring in-home care,
Oh yeah, big
um,
time.
and certainly more
Mm-hmm.
affordable than assisted living or something like that. And they can really be game changers. So I'm glad that you brought that up. The resources that I was thinking about specifically, like for being able to get out of town for a couple days, and let's be honest, you might not be able to go somewhere for 12 days, but maybe you can go somewhere for 2 days. Maybe you can get out of the house for 24 to 48 hours, go to a staycation at a hotel or something like that, just to have a change of
Yes.
scenery. I definitely recommend, don't do a staycation at your house, because you're just going to clean your house.
Yep.
You're just going to like
Go somewhere
find
else.
things that you're supposed to do at your house. You got to get out of your house. But there's this chunk of, yes, can you get respite care that is paid respite care? That's always absolutely an option. You can have people come into the home. There are often like assisted living, or even sometimes long-term care and memory care communities that will accept folks in for just a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time for respite care, so that their family caregivers can take a break, they can go on vacation, and they can know that their loved one is being safely cared for. Like Maria said, I think it's really
Mm-hmm.
important to do your homework, do your due diligence, make sure that the company or the caregiver that is either going to come into your home or the place where your loved one is going to be staying is as good a fit for them as possible, and that they really know what they're doing, and that they understand how to meet your loved one's needs. One, for the safety and welfare of your loved one, but also for your vacation. Because if you're worried about it the whole time, that you're not
Yeah,
You're not
vacationing.
sure.
vacationing.
That defeats the point. So it does require some homework. Of course, those things can be expensive,
Mhm.
but there are lots of people out there who are providing care to their loved ones who don't have that extra income to be spending. Um,
Yeah. For
so a
us,
lot
we
of
were
times,
lucky. Oh,
mm,
well, sorry, Amelia. Well, my grandfather, he was a World War II veteran. And so the VA helped pay for the adult daycare, or the adult day services. And we were also lucky in that we had veteran volunteers. There would be volunteers who would come to the house. So if you're not able to travel out of town, but maybe you need to get out and run errands, or maybe you could book that back massage, or, get out of the house and do something for yourself while you have a volunteer who can come in for an hour or two. I mean, that can make such a huge difference, just to have that time all to yourself. So, I mean, looking in, if your family member is a veteran, or if they were married to a veteran, usually those spouses, you'll have to look it up, but those family members,
spouses generally don't. And like, if you work at the VA and you want to correct me, please do. But in general, spouses do not qualify for those same kinds of VA benefits. They get
yeah,
a different
just
system. Yeah.
it kind of, yeah. I would always double check into it though, and just to see what you can qualify for. But yeah, that was immensely helpful for us.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I was going to mention for sure, is if someone is a veteran and they're connected with their VA benefits, depending on their service connection, they might be able to get a lot of care actually that's paid for by the VA. The VA also has these places called community living centers, where you can check someone in temporarily for respite care if that's something that they qualify for and something that you need. there are also lots of community programs and services around in your neighborhood. Definitely, I recommend checking out your local area agency on aging. A lot of times they will be able to direct you to free respite care resources. Those respite care resources might be for a limited number of hours, or they might be, you have to look into exactly what services they can provide. But I know here in Dallas, there are services that can help people with respite care at zero cost because there's funding for them already through Area Agency on Aging. So, it takes some legwork, it takes some homework. Also, I think like churches are an amazing place to get a lot of different community support and services. They do a lot more of the work around this than the government does a lot of times. So being connected to your community, I think, is really, really important to kind of put together this framework of services. Because if you have the disposable income, or if the person that you're caring for, has had that money set aside for their care, and you can pay outright for someone to come in and stay with them or check them in somewhere for a few days so that you can go take a vacation for respite care, by all means, like, do that thing. It is worth it. On the other hand, if you're someone who doesn't have that extra income, there are still services available to you, but it does take extra legwork. You have to kind of, you have to do that work to kind of piece those things together, but it is out there. So, and no matter who you are, it doesn't matter what your income status is. You just gotta take a break. You gotta take a break.
Sure.
And I know that sounds like just broken record over and over again, but you can take a break by here are some things you can do. You can call your local area agency on aging. If the person is a veteran, reach out to the VA, see what their veterans benefits are, talk with their doctor, Google senior center. Google your local senior center. They will have a ton of resources and information to help direct you where to go. These things are out there if you go to take advantage of them. And sometimes they sit there and they don't get used because no one knows, you know?
Care Lab listener, I have a question for you. If someone you love needed a caregiver, what qualities would you want that caregiver to have? You probably want them to be reliable, trustworthy, kind, maybe just a generally dependable and good person, right? Second question, would you also want them to be trained? I'm gonna guess the answer is a definite yes. Okay, third and final question for you. Do you think it matters who gives that training? Like, is it cool if it's just in your body, or would you want that person to be qualified expert? Assuming you do, in fact, love this person who needs a caregiver, you probably want the expert, right? Well, that's what Higher Standards Caregiver Training does. Higher Standards Caregiver Training provides 100% occupational therapist-led training for caregivers. Caregivers get taught everything from gold standard foundational skills for transfers and daily living tasks, all the way up to how to deal with specific diseases and injuries. And most importantly, they are taught all of these things in a way that is practical and enhances the participation of the person who needs the care. And it actually protects the safety of everybody involved. Why? Because everyone deserves a higher standard. For a course for individuals or learning about training for care for organizations, find that information at higherstandardscaregivertraining.com. Yeah, I want to add to that, I want everybody at this moment who is listening, because we gave it a whole lot of information. I'm going to recap it and add some more.
All right,
Get
thanks.
your pen and paper out, get your phone out, take your notes, because sometimes it feels overwhelming, but it is about piling your resources. You don't need just one of these things. You need all of these things so that you can pick and choose from what you need at the time. And when we say take a break, I know that was extreme, that I was gone for 12 days, but you need a 2-hour break during the day. You need a break once a week. You need a break once a quarter. And those can be different things, but you need to try to figure that out. So there are shepherd centers in every city, and most shepherd centers have a senior companion program, which is free, and they pair you up with somebody else that's a senior, and they just come and hang out for a little while. They're not medical care, but they are somebody who come and hang out, and you can be gone for your 2 hours. There's your 2 hours right there. If you need that adult daycare service, it does cost out of pocket. But if the person is on Medicaid, Medicaid can pay for adult daycare, and so you should consider that as an option. That's for like your daytime. Like I need to have a day so I can go to work, or may I just need a day for the week. We mentioned respite care. You can do respite at assisted livings. So you could pay to have them kind of have their own vacation at assisted living for a day or two. It's kind of like a hotel stay with help. So you can call your local assisted living to get that. We mentioned area agencies on aging is the main resource for your area, and they'll know all of these things. So if you can only do one thing, do that thing. And then for continuous longer term, that in-home care is really helpful. Medicaid can pay for in-home care. Your long-term care insurance can also pay for in-home care. It's not just for nursing home care. So use that resource as an option. And then the VA benefit is called VA Aid and Attendance. And you just need to tell your doctor at the VA. And if you don't have a doctor at the VA, get one, because even if that's not your primary care, you want to keep your primary care, just get connected with the VA and use those benefits, because they can pay for equipment. They can pay for the in-home care. They can pay for adult daycare. Like, they have benefits. It depends on your level of service, but you need to start. Sometimes some people I know just get their medications from the VA because it's cheaper. And that's the only thing they get. So, like, use all those resources.
VA also pays for home modifications. The amount that they will pay for, again, depends on your service connection. If you're a veteran, you know what that means. But they're by far and away the most generous healthcare organization in this country that provides actual, like, they'll go in, they'll widen your doorways, they'll give you a new bathroom, they'll install grab bars, they'll do all kinds of things. Again, it depends. The amount of funding will depend on your service connection, but it's one of the main reasons that I always tell all the veterans in my life, please make sure you're connected with the VA. It doesn't matter whether you think you deserve it or not, whether you think you're going to qualify or not. Get an advocate, call the ombudsman for the VA that's nearest you, and start working with them to try to get all of the benefits that you deserve as a veteran, because I know the VA catches a lot of flack. It's certainly not a perfect organization. And just like anywhere else, there's good seeds and there's bad seeds wherever you go. But there are so many resources there to take care of you that are not available anywhere else. You've earned it. Go get it. Go get it, man.
And they're not in short supply. I've had many veterans say, there's other people that need it more than me. And I'm like, I appreciate your generosity. However, it is for you. So just because you use it doesn't mean that your next door neighbor doesn't get to have it. Go ahead and use those benefits. The other thing I was going to add is, when something happens and then everybody in your life is like, oh, just let me know how I can help, and you never know a thing to ask, or you don't feel like asking, or you don't know what to do, I need you to go to lotsofhelpinghands.com. Because if you've ever used Meal Train or organized for people to bring meals after a baby's born or something like that, this is that for care. And so you don't have to have an interaction face-to-face to be like, I actually need somebody to come every Tuesday from 12 to noon so I can go do whatever. You can just say, I really appreciate you wanting to help us out. And what we could really use is some interaction and somebody just be around. So here are these time slots. Here are the things that would be awesome to do. And people can choose if they want to, and they can sign up. And then it can just all be automated and get reminders for them to do the thing. And then you can just look at the calendar and see, like, oh, I have help on Tuesday from 12 to 2. Now I plan to go to the store, or whatever the thing is that you like to do by yourself.
That's awesome. And say that website again.
Yeah. I'm going to say it all, and then I'm going to spell it. It's Lots of Helping Hands. So Lotsa, LOTSA, helping hands.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. I haven't heard of that resource, so that would.
I hadn't either. Incredible. Yeah, I'm going to tell everyone.
Yeah,
I guess you just did, but I'm going to.
It takes away that social interaction that you don't feel like you want to ask, but you could benefit, and all the things. Like, just if they want to, they can.
I think that something else that happens too is sometimes when people say, "Hey, let me know if you need some help," and you're so overwhelmed with the number of things that you have to do, you don't even know what to ask for because it feels like more work to try to delegate it than to just do it yourself. And I think everyone's kind of been there before in their own lives in one way or another.
For sure.
But ultimately, what I found is like if it doesn't get delegated, then it's not helpful to me. I can either decide that I'm gonna like be overwhelmed and frustrated with all of the too many things on my plate, or I can actually delegate those things and take the time to do that. So what I've found for me is helpful is like while I'm in that moment of feeling overwhelmed and frustrated, I will just write down the task that I'm trying to complete. And then, you know, I can move on to something else or whatever it is. But then I actually know like, okay, at this time when I was trying to go pick up a prescription and do the laundry and get the grocery shopping done, like these are three things that like maybe one or two of them could be delegated out to. And then tell a specific person to go do that thing. Because if people also like they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to step on your toes and do something wrong necessarily. So that's another thing is like sometimes you got to let go of like a need for something to be done in a certain way. Like if you send someone for the groceries and you're real particular about your apples, you got to ask yourself, do I care more about my apples or like my time saved doing the grocery shopping? Maybe the apples aren't as important, you know? So like you've got to be able to let go a little bit of that control, which can be hard when you feel like you're responsible for everything. But these are personal processes where we have to do in ourselves to help ourselves too.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's work on you and getting all that other help. I have a friend who her husband had a like serious accident like in October. And she was somebody who like is so lovely. And she lives in, you know, a couple states over. And so it's like physically, like I couldn't be there. And what can I do? And I went ahead and I was like, hey, you know, or I asked her permission. I was like, would you be interested if I created like this online kind of like meal train service and, you know, a way for people to help you pay for cleaning services or, you know, for gas cards or because she was going to have to do some traveling to visit her husband in the hospital because she didn't live in close proximity. And so I told her my idea and she said, actually, yeah. She's like, I need to suck it up and just, yes, accept the help. And that's, you know, that was a big thing because I told her, I was like, I would feel the same way. I would feel I am, you know, recovering control freak to the max. And I was really glad that I could come to her and be like, I would really struggle if somebody offered for this. And I'm really glad that you can be honest and just be, you know, just accept this help for this, you know, during this time, during these, you know, however many months you're going to have to find a new normal. And I was so glad, you know, just grateful to just set it up for her. I didn't offer to pay for like a million meals to be sent to her. You know what I mean? And that's what I think also as a caregiver, you have to kind of look at yourself and go, how much can I give? You know, Emilia, you brought up like filling your cup and those kinds of things. So you don't want to give too much of yourself. And I'm like, a huge, you know, way that I helped was just approaching her, setting this thing up for her. And I told her, I was like, when you're ready to like take it over and, you know, start delegating things or, you know, whatever, then, you know, I will give you the account access. And in the meantime, I can do that for you. And when you're ready, she can step in. And that's exactly what happened. So I think it's really good to, you know, think about like what you can do, not do too much. And, you know, you're still able to, you know, I'm not her caregiver, but because I have been a caregiver, I understand how like all of the different things you have to manage and throw in the air and what's appropriate for me as somebody who really wants to help, like what is appropriate for me to step in. And I was really glad to navigate it that way. But I hope that experience can kind of help like, because even though you're caregiving for somebody, you still want to do things like help your friends, and like where does that end? Where should those boundaries be?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Maria, I don't think what do you like to do to actually like be free of all of your obligations and just like completely decompress and unwind?
Well, in the morning, I'm a morning person too. I'm a morning girly. I like to get up at 5:30, and I love that my husband and daughter sleep in, because that gives me time to like check in with my feelings for the day. I like to journal. I like to read. I like to do yoga, and just being able, like, when I do the yoga and just like lying down and giving myself permission to do absolutely nothing whatsoever, just lie on the ground. I really need that time, because it is, I do naturally want to do, but when you're constantly doing that, it is so hard. Like, I just feel so burnt out. I know,
Yeah.
even if I in my morning, so like my daughter was up for some reason at 5:30. And I was like, of course you're up early on a snow day, of course. But
There's so much cool stuff to do. You don't have to go to school. So like why wouldn't you? Obviously, that's when you
there's
get
so
up
much.
early.
I
Maximize
Yeah.
your
know,
time
so
and
much
get up.
to watch is what she's trying to do. That's her aim. Like, I want you to feed me here on the couch, and I want to watch endless hours of TV. And I'm like, no. But anyway, yeah, for some reason, so I can feel a huge difference when I don't give myself that time. And I'm not like
Mm.
lying on the floor for 15 minutes. It's just, even just like a couple minutes of me lying there doing absolutely nothing. That is enough for me to feel so much better. So what do you,
Hashtag Shavasana. Hashtag Shavasana.
Shavasana?
Savasana.
Yeah,
Best part
exactly.
of yoga is Shavasana, everybody.
Corpse
The
pose.
best part of yoga,
You
Corpse.
just do all
exactly.
the rest to just get to the end.
Yep. I'm like, yep, this is where I need to be. What about you, Amelia? I mean, you talked about working out in the morning. Is that one of yours?
Yeah, that's my big daily thing that I do to like disconnect from. It's important for me to disconnect from my brain and get into my body. I feel a lot better
Mm-hmm.
when I can have those moments of focus. To me, like if I'm involved in exercise or just it doesn't even have to be like hard exercise, just intentional movement, right? Then that helps to like bring me down from all of the lots of thoughts that I'm having and focus me in and really be present. And I find that just having those moments of being present really grounds me for the day, and it sets me up for being able to handle kind of whatever comes my way. So definitely, yeah, like having some form of exercise or body movement every day, it helps me to stay kind of grounded. And then like my real my thing that I do for joy is I go for long runs, which I
Oh,
realize is also exercise. But it's listen, people, I run very slow. I run people are always like, wow, that's crazy. I'm like, it's not. I just run very slow. You can go a long ways if you run slow enough. That's the secret, everybody. But
yes.
again, like there comes a certain mileage point where like all of your endorphins kick in and it's like the world goes into technicolor and like peace and calm. And it's just like it's just so joyful to just like be in your body and feel your body moving and be grateful. Like it gives me such a deep sense of gratitude to be able to do that because I recognize like it's not a given. You don't like I it's a privilege to like go out and move my body and to
Mm-hmm.
do things. It
Mm.
really is. And it's a privilege to be
Yeah.
sore and all the
Yeah.
all three of us we've been in lots of situations with lots of people that have probably helped us to understand that like nothing is a guarantee, nothing's a given.
For
So if
sure.
I can go out and run 5 miles or 7 miles or whatever it is, like, oh my gosh, what a great privilege that is, especially because it takes me so long. Because like that's extra time. 'Cause it takes me forever.
Yeah. You're like, sorry, sick kid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Sorry,
go take some time. Yeah. Mama
sorry,
needs her.
husband. We've
Yeah.
got it handled. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna I'm just gonna mosey along here.
Yes. Be like, oh, with the snow outside, I'm gonna take extra long. So
Ooh, yeah, no. Well, I
you're
can't.
not a
You
snow
can't do
runner?
that. You can't do that here because everything's icy. Like we don't just get. So when it
Yes.
snows in Dallas, sometimes it will just snow, but mostly we get ice storms and then there'll be snow on top of that, and
Fun.
it's black ice everywhere. Like there's nothing. You can't leave your house or you will like slip and get a head injury. So so no, I don't run in the snow. Sounds lovely.
It definitely it is a workout for sure. It
I
is.
bet.
Yeah, because you're slipping and sliding, so you feel extra tired. I love. I used to do longer runs, and I would love to come back home and fry up potatoes and eggs.
Oh yeah, you're
It's
so
so
hungry
good.
afterwards. It's
Yeah,
like the best
yeah,
meal you've ever had because you're starving.
yes,
It just makes
yeah.
everything
Fry
good.
it up. Fry it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also frying. Cool. All right. Well, does anyone should we how are we gonna wrap this up today? I feel like Brandy, your synopsis of resources there was really excellent. We should probably like stamp that somewhere in here so people can find it more
That's a great
easily.
idea. Yeah.
Um, anything else that we want to offer or share before we wrap up today?
I think if anybody takes nothing else from this, it's that you and your time is important, and you can only be a caregiver for as long as you can provide care, and you can't do it for forever with no stops. So prioritize some way. We've given you lots of opportunities that cost nothing, all them to costing more money. There's some way for you to take time. You just have to decide to prioritize it, and we are motivating you to do that.
Bam.
You can do
Mic
it.
drop, Brandy.
Yes, I love it. Clear, concise.
I'm
You
here for
wrapped
my
it up.
drops.
All right, y'all. We will catch you next time on Care Lab. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.